Hi guys, welcome back to Walmington, Riverside. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've done an update. The room's a tip and can't get to anything at the minute because I'm selling stuff on eBay to try and make more room in the room to do the modelling. But I have done a little bit. Sometimes it's just quicker to do something off camera, and it was only stuff that you've seen before anyway. But anyway, I'll take you through what I've done and I'll show you a couple of little bits and pieces of scenery stuff. So first off, with the shed here, what I've built on the outside is the little cover for the conveyor belt that took the product from the hopper house here off to the cement works or whatever it was where they needed the product that was dropped in this shed. I've also just today added the last of the ballast in the bay platform because that hadn't been ballasted up till this point because I needed to sort this corner out here, and I'll just bring you around to look at that. So down here with the filler, I've just graded the ramp down further because it was too short at the start. Sort of dropped down to the board level at this point, and then I put the cork on top so it's sort of not flowing. So I've now put on there, it's still wet so I'm not going to touch it because it'll turn into a disaster if I do. Some filler, just graded it all through and just smoothed it out. What I've also done in this area here, I've made some plastic sleepers because that's going to be an area where was a point which has been dismantled. They've taken the rail away to use it at a different location for whatever reason, perhaps one had broken, but this was a serviceable set of points, so they decided on cost saving we'd just whip them out and use them elsewhere. Perhaps there was a derailment in the yard or something, but that set of points is gone, but this plain bit of track which they weren't worried about is still left in the dead ends. I've also laid along the top edge here all the way along the concrete capping for the retaining wall for the river. Now what I've used here is just air dry clay. Before the back was filled in, I literally just rolled a sausage, flanned it in and put some marks in where each section would have been cast separately. The result in that is the air dry clay shrunk and has put some cracks in, which I've then had to go back in with some more clay and fill the holes in. No big drama there. And then I've infilled behind with the sand and finished off the ballast along here using the Scenic cement as before. Now then, where we've got the paths where people walk is not an actual path, but I've just smeared a little bit of the air dry clay into the sand just to sort of give a smoother area, because what you've got to remember is 120 times bigger than sand, that's quite large aggregate on the floor, and I don't want that. And where people walk on dirt, it tends to get a smoother, finer finish. So I have, at this stage, it's not yet fully bedded in colour wise, I've just started with the basic clay smeared in where people walk, and I've just toned that down with a light grey wash just to blend it in a little bit so it's not right in your face white colour. So that we've got to tone down and blend in as a more natural colour, but I'll just show you what I've done to blend it into the ground as it is. So that's the sort of semi-natural look I'm looking for, where people walk up and down regularly, nothing grows on that bit, but either side you get a bit of greenery growing into the ground. I've not put any grass on yet. This is purely just a bit of Woodland Scenics fine turf, just gently sprinkled on the top, and I shall demonstrate that to you now on the front of the layout. So what I'm going to use here just to sprinkle this on is my pipette, the fine turf and the Woodland Scenic cement. Now I've given that a good shake already because the glue does settle quite a bit, and all I'm going to do is drip it into the sand initially all over the area, Just makes it generally tacky. Move the bridge back a bit from the edge just to make it easier for sprinkling. Just liberally spread it about. So that area is now moistened. I'm literally just going to grab some of this and gently sprinkle it on randomly. I don't want it too even. Because I'm only adding an initial ground cover, and that's it. And then what I shall do now, just dust it off the edge there, reapply you know what I forgot? Forgot my alcohol. Little gentle spray of alcohol, that'll help it soak in. There we go. It's not dripping away now. That'll secure it in, and what I'm going to do, just where I had those drips and it pull away, I'm just going to just sprinkle another little bit on top just to hide the round circles. That'll do. And I'm going to continue along the layout. So that's the basic ground cover, so literally just sand and a little sprinkling of fine turf, and that sort of just blends the area together. I don't want to be too big and bushy, I don't want to be anything like that. Not yet. We're going to put some grass on at a later stage and a few other weeds and bits and pieces, but I don't want a jungle. So that just adds a bit of very fine green. Remember, we're 120 scale here, so we don't want long. We don't want like 4 or 5 mil grass, because it makes a jungle, and we don't want that. I think that looks quite good personally. It's starting to come along and create the scene that I want. Oh, did I forget to mention? I added those trees in as well. Definitely forgot to mention those. There we go. So that's that little bit done. So it's starting to come together. It looks quite good from this angle. It's not so easy to get up on the camera, but yeah, I like this view now. It's looking really good. Be good once I've got the water in as well in the river, and the bridge finally finished and weathered down a bit, because it's still a bit new and shiny. But this view here, yeah, I'm liking. I bet I can't get it to show up on the camera properly. So that's it for this video. If you've got anything you want to add, just comment section below, but you know that, you've done it before. Like, share, subscribe and all the usual stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.